Welcome back to your Heat latest on FanArc. I'm Sam Shapiro. If you're a sports fanatic like myself, Underdog Fantasy is a great place you want to check out. Just use this QR code right up here. You can download the app today. And when you use promo code BasketballFan, you can score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. I know this is made, at least for me, watching some of the wild card action in the NFL unfold, but it's also piqued my interest in some games that might be a little bit closer to home for me. I'm originally from New York City, so seeing some picks regarding tonight's matchup with the Knicks and the Nets getting underway has definitely made me feel like I need to show some respect to my buddies at home that be rooting for them tonight. I'm going to get into what some of my picks for that matchup would be later into this episode. But again, thank you to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's video as well. Going to recap Miami bouncing back into the win column in today's episode. But before we dive into that, don't forget to drop a like on this video. And if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. We've got great daily content you don't want to miss, all right here Monday through Friday. Well, Miami now 1-1 through their first 2 out of 5 games on this West Coast road trip they're embarking on right now. Picking up the win against Sacramento last night, 130-117. Much needed win considering the brutal beatdown they had against Golden State on Monday. Miami doing a pretty good job only limiting the majority of the points from Sacramento in this game. 81 of their 17 basically came from 4 players. When you look at Russell Westbrook, DeMar DeRozan, Malik Monk, and Zach LaVine, again, containing Monk, LaVine, Rosen, and Westbrook to 81 of the 117 that Sacramento scored in this game, I think defensively speaks volumes to how Miami was at least able to prevent Sacramento from sharing the love in terms of giving a lot of other players more opportunities to score besides these 4 players. And granted, Malik Monk, even out of these 4 guys that I had just mentioned, arguably had the worst shooting night, just under 50%, 6 of 13. So those guys still had pretty quality games had a pretty quality game respectively for Sacramento, and they did a really good job. But personally, I don't think it was enough considering I had talked about earlier this week, if there were certain things Miami could keep polished up on through this road trip, we could definitely see a lot of exciting performances from Miami. And I think a big reason why they were able to bring in 130 points in this game against Sacramento, almost a revenge win, I would say, is because of them just bringing the heat on from downtown in this game. I mean, 21 threes to finish the night, 15 of those threes in the first half, 62% from downtown through the first half for this Miami Heat team. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. 77 points in the first half for Miami. They absolutely shot the lights out. And I had talked about earlier this week that if Miami could do a good job making their shots, especially from beyond the arc, we were going to see a lot of scoring onslaughts from this Miami team over the course of this road trip. 45-point second quarter, obviously cooled down a little bit in the third, but at least didn't pick the fourth quarter to cool down in and make some sort of, or at least reconjure hopes that maybe this Sacramento team could come back late in this game, because personally I think Miami is excellent at letting teams crawl back in, especially when they have a pretty sizable double-digit lead. But I think because Miami was able to shoot the deep ball very efficiently, extremely well in this game, and just showing the love over a number of players in this lineup. Simone Fontecchio actually looked solid from beyond the arc in this game. 5 of 9 from 3. All 5 of his makes tonight, or last night, were from beyond the arc. 15 points off the bench in only 19 minutes played. And I feel like we've seen him play close to 30 minutes in a number of games as of recent. He hasn't even scored 10. So, I don't know what that says about that, but to me, it's definitely showing at least what his strong suits are. Don't take as much time as you think they might need to, and just there are so many better opportunities where you could play him less but still get a decent efficiency out of him when he's able to make those outside shots. I feel like some of his misses, especially over the last 2 months, like airballing, like they look horrendous. It's not like, he hits the back of the rim or it dances around a little. No, it's like a flat out airball when he consistently cannot make his shot. But Jaquez Jr., 13 points off the bench. Wiggins actually having a good shooting night, 7 of 12, 19 points, on the night. And then Norman Powell, 22 points, 8 of 16. None of those guys were Miami's leading scorer. And I'm going to talk about Adebayo and how he had another strong performance in this game to go along that contributed with this very solid outside scoring onslaught that we had saw from Miami, where again, 21 threes for this Miami Heat team in this matchup last night, where they ultimately finished shooting 50% from the field, 21 threes total in this game. Again, pretty close to that franchise record, but Adebayo himself contributing 4 shots from downtown as well in this game, where I believe this is only the third time we've seen from him, at least in this month, him have at least 4 or more threes in a game. But before I dive into that, just going to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video at Underdog Fantasy. Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Now, playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Now, if you get your picks right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at the Knicks taking on the Nets tonight, and I'm selecting Karl Anthony Towns for lower than 21.5 points and Michael Porter Jr. for higher than 24.5 points. Download the app today and use promo code BASKETBALLFAN to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BASKETBALLFAN. Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8 or text from I 467-369.
Bam Adebayo bounced back in this game from the 4.1 of 13 performance we saw Monday against the Golden State Warriors. In this game against Sacramento, he was arguably Miami's player of the game. 25 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. 4 out of the 8 baskets he made last night came from downtown. And as I talked about over the course of really this season especially, but kind of at least over the last 2 or 3, we've seen the 3-point game at least become part of his game in some facet, where he's shooting right around 35% from the field from beyond the arc. And I think that's been slightly contributing to him being a dominant player, especially when he starts at the 5 spot instead of the 4 spot. So with this whole kind of scheme of Tyler Hero most likely not joining the team for this road trip and Adebayo continuing to start at the 5 position, I think we're going to see the most dominant basketball from him, at least on the offensive side of the floor, if he is going to consistently get played at the 5. Now, is there a scenario where you should maybe run Khalil Ware at the 4 in that starting lineup also? I don't know about that, but I feel like we also get a more efficient Khalil Ware when he is in the starting lineup playing at the 5. So it could just be a matter of fact of whoever is getting plugged into that 5 spot offensively for this Miami team is going to have a lot of freedom in terms of what they want to do with the basketball offensively. However, you kind of need, I feel like, Adebayo to anchor this team down more on both sides of the ball than Khalil Ware can right now. So if this is the scheme that Miami needs to score 120, 130 points on any given night to, win a game by double figures, I think at least having this scheme through the road trip right now is something Miami definitely can capitalize on. But another thing that I think Miami really, if they continue to focus on this, which I feel like they have been over the course of the season, averaging, I think, right around 14 turnovers a game. If they can focus on limiting how much they turn the ball over and staying under that 14 turnovers averaged a game, then I do think that that can help Miami finish out this road trip with 3 more wins. I do. Because when you look at the game against the Thunder, Miami won that game narrowly, but they only turned the ball over 4 times. When you look at the loss against Boston, I believe they only turned the ball over 12 times in that game as well. But case in point being, that game was decided by 5 points against a very competitive team. When Miami is sloppy with the ball and turns it over, they are almost not even in the contest, especially when they're not making shots. But if they're not making shots and they're not turning the ball over, then the game is still, I would say, a little bit more close in a lot of scenarios rather than none. If they can make their shots and not turn the ball over, it's a recipe for a massacre, at least in terms of Miami doing what they'd want to do to the other team and coming out with a win in those games. But I think, again, if they can consistently shoot the ball and limit the amount of turnovers they get in a lot of these games, then this road trip could be very, very exciting to watch over the course of the next 3 games for the 305. Well, on Thursday, they are headed to Portland. Followed by that on Saturday, they will take on the Utah Jazz. And then concluding that road trip on Sunday against the Phoenix Suns. Those are Miami's next 3 games on this road stint they are embarking on right now. Now sitting at 1-1 after last night's win against the Kings. We'll just kind of have to wait and see how things transpire. I don't think at this point Tyler Hero is going to join the team at any point. But I definitely think how the team is looking right now definitely sets the stage for Adebayo to keep playing at a high level and hopefully will be a contributing factor into Miami continuing to not just shoot the ball well, but also limit their turnovers, as Adebayo had 4 threes in that game last night as well, definitely contributing to the hot hand this Miami Heat team at least had in this game. And I think, again, this is just an example. Miami can shoot the ball well, limit the turnovers. They can beat any team on any given night. That's going to do it for this Wednesday's episode of Your Heat Latest on FanArc. Don't forget to drop a like on this video and, of course, subscribe to our channel. We've got great daily content you don't want to miss all right here, Monday through Friday. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Sam Shapiro. Have a great Wednesday.